Hey everybody, welcome to Center Lane, the political discussion for those of us who just want our politicians to come together on something and get something done. We just want something to get something done, right? Want to talk about last week's debate. I didn't want to put something out the day after because the knee-jerk reaction is, oh my God, Joe Biden. And it's funny because I'm glad I waited a week because it went from, oh my God, to, okay, well, maybe it's not so bad, to like, now we're back to, oh my God again, which I find interesting. We'll talk about that in just a second. So what was the debate? I'm sure most of you saw it or heard it or saw blips of it. I'm gonna be honest with you, I couldn't watch the whole thing. It was just, oh my, I couldn't watch it. And it wasn't just because of Biden, mostly because of Biden, but Trump too. But we'll talk about him as well. But let's start out with Biden. I mean, what can you say? He just was completely not there. I mean, he had a raspy voice. Okay, does that mean you can't think as well? Because just because your voice is bad, I've lost my voice, but my brain still kind of works. His brain wasn't working, and you're carrying a nuclear codes, dude. I mean, that's concerning. I think he's been a pretty good president. I do, but I think that something is drastically wrong. It's not like a conspiracy theorist, but there's something physically wrong with him. And I think they've tried to insulate him. He really hasn't been out campaigning much. And if he does campaign, he has a teleprompter. So he still reads pretty well. But thinking, I know there's going to be an interview, I think, on ABC on Friday with him, but I bet you it's edited. I would have to see, I want to see a live interview with him. Okay? Because by the way, most of Trump's interviews on Fox and stuff you see aren't live. They're taped, edited, they start and stop. They have to because both these guys, come on. This is the best we've got to offer for us to choose from between these two. That's just sad in itself. But back to Biden, I believe that I think that there's a real good chance that he's going to drop out. And I think that's what he should do. But I also am kind of upset because he should have did this a year ago. I mean, honestly, you're supposed to be a transitional president. Get us away from Trump. 4 years, got us out of COVID. Did a good job on some stuff, but there's no way, you should have thought eight years is a good idea. You should have known that a year ago that you'd be almost looking at 6 more years a year ago to where you are physically and mentally today. And today it looks like he's just not up for the job. Still a smart guy. You could use him. You could go to him as a senior advisor for somebody else. But he's not the one. So that's his. I think that was a death blow to him personally. We'll see what happens. He's stubborn, but if you really love your country, I think it's time to say, you know what, I really love my country, and this is not am I gonna lose, but I'm gonna drag down every other Democrat. His coattails are not looking good right now, right? He's gonna drag down governors running, senators, congressmen. I mean, it's just they don't even want him, to show up at their rallies himself because he's going to drag them down. So he's got to have to make that tough call, and I think he needs to do it sooner than later. Trump, on the other hand, during the debate, really helped having his microphone muted. I think that helped him out because he wasn't allowed to get as crazy as he likes to get. However, having said that, and he spoke well. At least what he said wasn't well, but he spoke and seemed clear-headed to a degree. And but still, he's saying some pretty outrageous things. I mean, he's still, every question asked, he would go back to the border. It's like, well, what are you going to do about the economy? Well, the border. It's like, oh yeah, what about the economy? Oh, so he had that, and then he made that big gaffe where he said that the immigrants are taking all the black jobs. That was not a good thing to say, Donald. That's stupid, and it just shows how you talk and then you think. You need to think first, then talk. That was very insulting to people. Calling Joe a bad Palestinian, that's insulting to Arabic people. He just never is going to get it. He says the same 3 lies over and over again, and then and he moves on, and people listen. He wanted to talk about how great everything was when he was president. Well, there was terrorist attacks, Donald. You said there was no terrorist attacks. There was terrorist attacks in New York. The ISIS guy rode over 8 people in Manhattan. There was a homegrown terrorist attack in Texas, 20-something people killed in the supermarket. There's terrorism, and that doesn't fall all on the president, but to say that everything was coming up roses and Ukraine never would have been attacked by Putin and he would have known better, you have zero proof of that. Some people would say you weakened us in NATO so much that that's why Putin did that. So, you know, stop making these grandiose claims of how great things were. People have selective memories when things are better for them or not. And yes, the economy is rough, and that's a real thing that has to be dealt with. You know, interest rates for homes, you know, inflation to a point still. The border is a mess. They get that under control. You know, that has to happen. But Trump didn't have all the answers either. So I think that's you know, that's who he is. So. So now we get back to who can take Biden's place? Well, people are going, well, you have to take Kamala Harris. You know, here's the thing about Kamala Harris. I was interested in her in 2020, her campaign. She was one of the people like, oh, that's somebody I could really maybe get behind. We'll see. I thought it was a complete disaster. She doesn't speak so great either. She's got word salad. She puts in extra words that aren't needed. Sentence structure's not all so great. She might make a good attorney general, but for her to be the candidate, okay, that's fine. That's just how I feel about her personally. The bigger question is, can she win? Can she beat Trump? I know she's polling better than Biden right now in a little snapshot thing, but that's probably because of name recognition. I think there's better candidates out there. Now, it's going to be tough to just go bypass her. So I think the way to go is you got 5 weeks, you know, let the Democratic whatever, one guy had a good idea where you get nominated through the delegates. You have to have at least 40 delegates on your side. You got 5 weeks to do your thing and come to convention. We vote and see who wins. That way you have a more across the board and hopefully a more consensus maker, hopefully. I know we're relying on 450 delegates. If you don't know how that works, it's kind of confusing to me too. I'm not the one to explain it to you, but when they go to the convention, the delegates is about 450 plus 75 super delegates. They will be voting for who would be the Democratic candidate. So anyways, you got have a little 5 week mini run, see what we get. Where I worry about Kamala Harris too is my wife is a Republican who voted for Trump in 16, but she voted for Biden in 20. She's a never Trumper. But she's still a Republican, and she wouldn't vote. I don't think she would vote. And people like my wife. Well, from my wife's case, I'll give you her reasoning, because my wife is very kind and nice and great person. And all the negative press that Kamala Harris got about from her staff, how she was blowing through staff because she was very not very nice to people that worked for her. That strikes a nerve with my wife, and my wife's not going to forgive her for that. You know, she just won't. So she won't vote for her. She won't vote for Trump either. She'll probably just vote and not vote for anybody at the top of the ticket, or maybe write somebody in. But I'm afraid that there's people like my wife out there that just won't vote for Kamala, and you need those Republicans who have voted Democrat recently to keep voting that way for that Democratic candidate. So she wants a good one. She loves Cory Booker. I like Cory Booker a lot too. We both love Susan Rice, and if Biden would have picked Susan Rice for his VP candidate in 2020, we wouldn't be in this mess. I'd say put Susan Rice in there. I think she's great because A, she puts country first. B, she's the smartest person in the room. C, she's not a politician. You know, I think she'd make a great president. So that'd have been nice if she would have been in the catbird seat right now versus Kamala Rice. She won't run in this runoff because she's not a politician. But she's got all the experience in the world, and she knows how this world works, and she's very smart, and she has a lot of empathy, and she has a personality that draws people to her. I think she'd have been a great president, a great choice, but it didn't happen. So she's not going to be in the conversation. Who's going to be in it? Well, maybe Cory Booker, hopefully. Be one of the candidates. You know, some of the governors, Shapiro, of course, Gavin Newsom in California. Who's the governor? Maybe Wes Moore, I think, is in Delaware. Mostly governors, I think. I don't think that there'll be too many senators who'll throw their names in that. Maybe Amy Klobuchar. I like her. That would be another good choice. I'd like to, like I said, I'd like to see Cory Booker throw his name in the hat. You know, he needs to lose, if you're listening, Cory, which I doubt, but if you are, lean into your experience as mayor. I mean, you've been a senator and you're a passionate guy and you've got all the energy in the world and you're very smart and you know how the world works as well. I think you'd be great. But you took on Sharp James, man, in Jersey. I mean, you ran, was it Jersey City he was mayor of? I can't remember. Trenton? I can't remember. One of the cities. I think it was Jersey City. I'm not sure. But, I mean, the guy was incredible, you know, and he turned that city around. if I can remember the name of the city, right? So he would be a great choice. So I hopefully he'll throw his name in the hat and have a good shot at it. I think he'd make a good president. So that's kind of like where we're at right now. I think Biden's going to be out. I think Trump's going to continue to be Trump. And watched one of his rallies the other day a little bit on YouTube. He's talking about planes with solar panels are going to be falling out of the sky and all this nonsense. It's like, dude, just, I don't know. So we'll see what happens with that. Then last, I was going to talk real quick about the Supreme Court decision about now giving this where presidents are immunity for what they do while they're in office. Basically, they've taken it to another level outside the Constitution. And as bad as the Supreme Court has been on a lot of these decisions, I think we have to say that if Congress was actually doing its job on a lot of these laws, because Supreme Court is supposed to be going through all these laws. A lot of these things could be handled through Congress through voting. They just punt it because nobody wants to be, have their name on anything. So they don't come to any consensus on anything. And Congress doesn't do their job. Supreme Court gets a lot of this stuff just funneled to them because it's a last chance stop. So maybe if we can fix Congress, we can stop worrying about how many conservative or liberal justices on there, because they won't have to make all these laws for us. Congress is supposed to be making laws. So that's my last thoughts on that. That's it. Hope a wonderful 4th of July. I hope everybody has a great time, and we'll talk to you soon.